Welcome to another inspiring episode of Africa Event Connect, where we bring you insightful conversations with leaders who are shaping the future of the events and exhibition industry. I'm your host, Projeni Pather, and today we're diving into the topic of sustainability, one of the most pressing challenges and opportunities in our industry. Joining us is Patrick Cronning, Commercial Director of ExpoGuys. A trailblazer in sustainable practices within the exhibition space, ExpoGuys has recently launched an industry-first initiative, the Sustainable Stand Grading System, which sets new standards for environmental accountability and innovation. Now, in this episode, we'll explore how ExpoGuys is redefining sustainability, educating clients, and proving that eco-conscious practices and business success can go hand in hand. Patrick, welcome to Africa Event Connect. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's one we've been waiting to do.
Well, let's see if we can answer those questions and make sense of it.
Okay, great. So let's go straight into it. In terms of ExpoGuys' commitment to sustainability, I know it's at the heart of your organization. Why is it so? Why has it become such a priority for you guys?
So, Projeni, and I think if I think back to a couple of years ago, it wasn't always top of mind, and we didn't really understand why we should be doing it and things like that. But
yeah, we didn't understand what this green meant.
How can you do it, and how do you get into the rhythm of it? I mean, all we want to do, and that's build stands, don't we? And then after a while, and after you start learning a bit more and trying to unpack it, it starts to make a lot of sense. And so what we done was about 2 years back, we got everybody around the boardroom table and we threw a couple of ideas at them, and we had quite intensive debates with everybody around the table.
Wow.
From design to factories. And, we spoke about this sustainability and how do we achieve it. And it's been quite a journey. And I'll tell you what, we've actually made sense of it for ourselves. And it's important from a number of reasons because, I think it's number one, is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
It really is. And to be very honest, it also makes a lot of sense financially, believe it or not.
Really?
So, I mean, there's multiple factors here. So, I don't think any decision in any company is a singular item.
Mm-hmm.
So we've approached it from multiple areas, from efficiencies, from everything. And I'll tell you what, it's incredible that we find us ticking all the blocks.
That's
we
truly
never
incredible.
thought that could happen.
I love that philosophy. I was reading one of your press releases and it talks about lots of people doing small things can lead to a significant impact. And so bringing all your people around the table, and it's not just you and John saying, as like senior management saying, this is what we're doing, but you brought the entire organization together.
Absolutely, as and not one of us, me or John, we just... the two people there, the rest of the team are the clever guys, aren't they? And, with all their input from design, manufacturing, etc., if they don't have the buy-in, there's no ways we're going to achieve this. So it's 100% a team effort. It really is.
No, that's really nice. I think, and when everybody has this responsibility to take on sustainability into our organizations, it can appear daunting, right? I mean, it's like, where do we start? Do we just stop on the amount of paper that we're using? Do we try to recycle? How do we implement it in our business solutions? And I just love this sustainable stand grading system that you've come up with. I mean, I think it is fascinating. It is amazing how you brought it into what you do. So tell us about this new sustainable stand grading system that you have launched.
So, we thought that it's not good enough if we're the only people that push this thing and people don't understand it. And we actually battled with that concept, and we had to try and think of how to get our clients involved.
Right.
Every client wants an award. And it's a fact of the business we're in. So we thought, how can we give them an award, something that's nice for them, but make them aware at the same time? And start allowing them to think about these real things.
Right.
Without having maybe even have thought about it in the past.
So it's subtly driving it in there,
subtle.
right?
It's extremely subtle. And now what we're finding is we're finding these people saying, but how, but why? And how did this happen and how can we improve? And that's exactly what we want.
So what is the criteria for this grading? So it's a grading system. So take me through the process, right? So a client says to you, we want you to build a stand for us. Correct. What happens from there?
So I must say that there's no real standard out there in terms of the world of sustainability. So we've come up with our own standards.
Right.
And, people might say, but who are we to come up with these standards? But we need to start somewhere.
Yes.
We really have. So this is what we've done. And we've said, if we look at all our components, what has a very good life cycle? So we've listed it. And and to be honest, the designers have actually sort of done most of that, because whatever the designers do on that computer is actually what gets outputted through the factories. And we can try to change it as much as we want.
Right.
But once that initial idea has been done on that piece of paper, that's what we produce. So if they're designing to a sustainable standard, they can then grade it themselves in terms of the criteria we've come up with. And they give themselves they give that designer a grading, let's call it, which we then pass on to clients.
So tell me, when a client comes to you and a client says, I want to build a stand,
yes.
Do you approach the sustainability subject immediately, or do you present it to them when you're presenting the request?
That's exactly it. So it's a bit of reverse engineering. So like with most industries, sustainability is not top of mind.
Mm-hmm.
They just want a stand.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, that stand could be anything. And so when they're presented with this, it's a whole new concept. And we're hoping now in the next cycle of events, maybe that year down the line, when they come back to a new stand, they might ask for that sustainable stand. Because now it's top of mind.
Yes.
Where before it was, please, can we have a table, 2 chairs, and a couple of graphics, and that was their brief. Now this brief might be completely different.
Yes, and now they can tick that box within their organization.
Absolutely.
That they weren't intending to, but now it becomes part of the checklist.
That's exactly it.
So you cover everything from flooring to lighting, other things. Sorry, did you want to go through?
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's flooring, the structure, the branding, the furniture, all of that?
Everything. So, and when you look at that sustainability, it's a bit strange because, you might look at that item with that plastic panel and say, but how?
How, yes.
How sustainable? You've got to be kidding. But the sustainability has to do with life expectancy, with this life cycle.
Okay, right.
So, if we're going to make a stand and it has a paper panel, a wood panel, or whatever panel, and it only gets used once. There's an element of sustainability from, I suppose, cutting down trees and biodegradable, etc.
Right.
But if we can use that same panel and we can use it 20 times, 30 times, 100 times, 200 times, and I'm not exaggerating. So if you walk into our factory, we have a lot of space. We have 5,000 square meters. We don't have that space because we produce a lot of stands, and we do produce a fair amount of stands. We have that space to stock our standard items. So we keep on reusing items over and over and over. So nothing is recycled after every single show. It goes back into stock. It's an asset for rehire.
Wow.
And that's what this 5,000 square meters has.
So you're not constantly buying new panels, new flooring.
Never.
You are reusing what you have.
All the time, and reusing in a very clever way. So we're very fortunate. We've got a good 8 designers. Mm-hmm. We've also got a creative director. So they spend a lot of time trying to develop new ways of doing things and taking a panel that might be used as a flat panel on a particular stand and trying to do something else with it on a different stand. So as the exhibitor, you're always having something different. You're always meeting their brief. Mm-hmm. But it's our challenge to meet that criteria with what we've got.
Okay. That's amazing.
But within those limits.
And then so the grading, understand, happens, it's silver, gold, platinum levels of grading, right?
Very much so.
So yes. Everybody can start off at a level and you can grow them, I suppose.
You absolutely can. But they might get a platinum immediately if they achieve that, if we achieve that look that they wanted, and all the goods, let's call it, comes out of our factory. And it sounds a bit strange, because I mean, what are they getting, and what's new, and what's new on the stand? Every item in principle is new. It's just repurposed. So, and of course it's got graphics, and yes, we know graphics is a once-off use, but we attempt as best as possible to use graphics on fabric. Fabric banners, and afterwards we'll take the fabric banner, we'll make bags out of it, like a Woolies bag or whatever. So we, and you can put things inside it, go shopping with the bag or whatever, or we use it as wrapping material on our goods that go to site.
And what about lighting?
So lighting, it's about simply the life cycle. And if you look at that item of lighting, I hate to say it, a light is a light.
Yeah.
And your old sort of filament light, we know that's a terrible light. But now if you've got an LED light that can last 6,000-7,000 hours before having to replace it, and it uses a fraction, 5% of the electricity, surely that's smart.
Of course, absolutely.
And that's where we're focusing on. I mean, we can't get away from using lights that are, I mean, there's no such thing as a green, there is a green light, isn't there? Green lights are low consumption lights.
Okay.
And that's what we focus on.
Okay. And then when we talk about, with regards to flooring and structure there, how does that work?
So, the key word in our business is reusability.
Right.
So what we do, and that is every item we're going to put into our product mix, we want to know how long it's going to last and how many times we're going to use it. So of course we're buying, and of course we've got a relatively big cost to sell on from a month-to-month basis. But we ensure that if we're buying a new light, chair, floor covering, raised floor, it's in some type of a modular system that gets used over and over and over again in a different form. So the life cycle then becomes endless. Not really endless. Everything's got an end, but we push it to the absolute limit.
Yeah, I mean, it's you're taking it to the absolute limit before it can go into a landfill or recycle option somewhere down the line.
That's exactly it.
Now, you talked about modular stands, right? So, I mean, I know it's like central to this whole sustainable strategy, and so why are you advocating more for modular stands versus like the traditional once-off constructed stands? I mean, are they not equally sustainable?
So what we've done at ExpoGuys, and that's, I believe we've tried to unpack all the terminology we've been used to over the last couple of years, 10, 20, 30 years even. And people have always believed that modular is a system stand. It's aluminium, it's plastic, and it's relatively boring.
Exactly.
So modular isn't always just that. I mean, you can have a fully modular custom stand that's made out of chipboard, of course, and absolutely you can. But then just make sure you use that chipboard 10, 15, 20 times. It's obviously very, very difficult to do that. Your facilities to store that would be incredibly big. So there's always a set-off against some kind of cost somewhere along the line. So modular for us is that reusability factor. So we might have custom components on our system design stands, on our aluminium and plastic stands.
Right.
And it might have a chipboard counter that's used over and over, and we've got probably 30, maybe 40 counters in stock that we can pull from and reuse. The emphasis is always on to reuse.
Now, what is the life cycle, for example, of like a reusable panel versus like a biodegradable material panel that has a single use, right? But it's biodegradable. Which would be more sustainable?
So sustainable. So the question,
better use.
So I think you have to sort of
rephrase the question.
Yeah, got to define it very carefully.
Yes.
So absolutely. So if it's a plastic panel, it might have 4, 5, 6 years worth of use. The more green or eco-friendly panel, of course, it can be used multiple times, but that multiple might be 2, it might be 3, it might be 4, depends on the labor factor.
Okay.
And does your labor look after the panel? So what we've also found, and that is, there's a lot of people that say their panels are eco-friendly, they follow the green principles, and I mean, I think it's fantastic. But when that product, that raw product is 30 or 40% more expensive than the normal product, I don't understand that. And I question why. Where does that 40% come from? 30% come from? Does it come from the fuel for the truck driving from Durban to Joburg, holding that material? Or is it because we have to wrap it in more wrap to ensure that it doesn't get damaged?
Mm-hmm.
What is it? But so you know, I think you got to look at products that we use in exhibitions, and you got to look at it from cradle to grave.
Of course. Okay.
You can't just look at it walking down the aisle of an exhibition and say, eco-friendly, not sustainable. You can't do that. And I think a lot of people do that right now.
Yeah.
And no, that's just, it's not fair on the products that we use. So you know, at the end of the day, an item with a very limited life expectancy, I think we need to just understand the real costs of manufacture. Because in that manufacture process, they were burning coal to turn the lights on and to run the machines.
True.
They were burning diesel to get it to Joburg or Cape Town or Durban or wherever.
That's true.
Driving to the landfill sites. So there's a lot beyond that eco-friendly panel, isn't it?
Wow. You start thinking about the side items that we don't assume. Now, is it more expensive for a client to go sustainable versus normal?
So my very simple answer is no way. No way at all.
Because that's always been a barrier to entry.
Of course it is.
It's over the years, every time you wanted to choose doing it in a more green way or sustainable way, it was an exorbitantly expensive cost.
Absolutely. Of course. Because the focus was on the product, not on the sustainability.
Oh, I see.
So we focus on sustainability, which is still multiple use. And that's got to be more environmentally friendly at the end of the day after these multiple years of use.
Of course.
Surely.
Yes.
You know? So again, you know, none of us have this standard to work to. So I think we're all trying to make these rules ourselves and we're all trying to unpack it ourselves, aren't we?
Yeah. But you're educating in the process.
But we are. And we're debating, aren't we?
Yeah.
And as long as I think we're doing something towards a cleaner planet, isn't that what counts?
Absolutely. And I think we can talk about it till we're blue in the face.
We can.
But I like the fact that you are doing physical things that are active in process, educating your clients, educating your staff, putting it top of the agenda, right? That's what you're doing, because clients might not be thinking about it. Your staff might not be thinking about it, but you've made it a priority. And that's what counts.
And that's absolutely right. You know, in any company, and we are also to blame. When we were, let's call it uneducated on this topic, we filled skips of waste, didn't we? And how many did we fill? Didn't matter.
And then we sent it away.
We sent it away. So now we count our skips. And if we sent away 10 or 15 skips this year, can we aim to do 12 next year? Can we aim to do 9 the following year?
Yes.
That's surely got to, you know, make an effort.
Absolutely.
So these are the conscious things we're looking at.
That is brilliant. Now, within your factory at ExpoGuys, you said it's about 5,000 square meters. It's a massive factory. What are you doing there internally? So now you helping clients, you bringing shedding the spotlight on how clients can choose sustainable stands, modular stands, so that they can contribute towards a greener environment. But behind the scenes, what's happening at ExpoGuys? What are the small initiatives or maybe big initiatives that you're implementing?
So I think our biggest initiative that we've managed to get off the ground 12 months ago was our solar. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's probably the first solar run exhibition production facility in South Africa.
Wow!
So, and it's not a large facility in terms of solar, but it probably cost us a good 1.2 million rand. But it curbs 80% of our Eskom spend, and maybe 75%. But it's a massive percentage. It pegs our electricity on what we paid a year ago. So now we can save some money, we can buy more panels as it goes, and we will get our factory off the grid. You know, obviously our 24-hour operation becomes a little bit impossible, no sun at night.
Of course.
Have to have big batteries, that's expensive. But if we could run, you know, a fair shift during the day from maybe 8 when the sun starts shining really well till maybe 4:30, and it's run off the grid, it is, Projeni, to see it is incredible. just to feel it, to look at the app and see that you are not using power from Eskom. It is insane.
That is brilliant. And I mean, we live in a climate where we get glorious, generous sunshine as well. So we're really fortunate like that.
Yes.
And then in terms of your waste management, we talked about that earlier as well, right?
So everything's about minimizing waste. So if we're cutting a panel, why are we cutting a panel? Why didn't we use standards?
Okay.
And then we'll go back to design. How come they didn't think about it? Can we highlight this issue? So we move up and down that value chain within our organization all the time to minimize.
So I know you just mentioned a lot in terms of design because that's where it begins, right?
Very much so.
But obviously there's design, but obviously design having insight into what's stock available within the factory, they have to work very closely.
Exactly. So that's also key for us. So our designers, and if we've got 3 remote designers, one I think is 2 in Cape Town, 1 in Jeffreys Bay, 1 in Mossel Bay, whatever it is. But it's key to have our designers walking the floor and to seeing the goods. And then we might pre-build a stand and they'll come and look at it and see what innovative ways we can change things and how they can improve on their designs. And then ops, of course, feeds back to design. And we have meetings about, can you do this? How about improving that? Why did you build so high? Whatever it was, and continuously making it more efficient, less wasteful. And I suppose faster to build, which helps everybody.
That's amazing. And now when we go into repurposing of materials like, your banners and your vinyl backing paper and things like that, I mean, can you reuse those?
Non-stop. So what we've done in this, we've reduced our purchase of wrapping material. So we're sending furniture all the time out to site. In the old days, we would be wrapping it with, that clear wrap, clean wrap or whatever, and you'd be using loads of that, loads. Now we have special bags made out of banners. We put the bag on the couch or whatever. We take it to site. We take the bag off. We bring it back to the factory.
Wow!
So it's quite simple. It really is.
That's brilliant.
So and that goes for all our goods.
That is brilliant. And what about furniture?
So in terms of how is it sustainable?
Yeah.
I guess?
Well, how do they reduce single-use plastics and stuff like that in terms of furniture?
The biggest thing on furniture is the how you transport it. And I always say, so when somebody rents an item of ours, it's not the time it spends on site, it's how you get it to site. You're burning the diesel, you got to wrap it, it's getting damaged, then it gets to site, that's almost insignificant. And then you're bringing it back, you're burning diesel, you're scratching it, you're redoing a panel on the furniture. That's where all the problems are. So if we can improve on those, let's call it logistical issues, we're doing better as a company. And of course, we're watching the bottom line.
Of course.
And we're being obviously more sustainable.
Conscious.
So everything sort of works harmoniously then if it's...
Yeah. I just love the way the interaction that you're speaking of with your teams, from designs to your ops team to your, people that are building and how they're talking to each other. I think that is so important, right? Now, going back to design and graphics maybe is one of my favorite topics because I think they're also creative. They do such amazing work and it's wonderful to see it. I know Nicholas has been instrumental with your design team and always pushing boundaries.
We pull it back then, of course.
Do you actually manage to put it back
Not
with
easily.
Nick? Can you share some of their innovative approaches? What are they implementing in that department?
So it can be anything. I mean, we had a brief that came in the other day that was for the ENT conference,
right?
And they wanted theirs to be sustainable. And they wanted to give back to the community. So we had a whole lot of vegetable plants and saplings and things like that we incorporated into the stands.
Wow.
It made the stands look nice and we gave it to the community afterwards. So every single project is looked at individually and we try something different and we try something innovative. Nicholas throws a spanner in the works and gets the thought process going in a different direction and we love it and sometimes we don't.
And with printers, what about is there different types of printing
There is. Okay, and that's where it becomes quite hectic because again, this is where the cradle to grave philosophy needs to be looked at quite carefully because you might have printers that are a lot more eco-friendly, but then they use a lot of power to print.
I see. Okay.
So
Trying to
again,
balance the two.
you have to look at the complete life cycle of that product, never just a snapshot. So our inks on our machines are not that eco-friendly, I must tell you, but use probably 10% of the power. And that 10% comes from the sun.
Of course.
And then we make it into a bag. So we're not filling a landfill.
Right.
So, it's quite a tough call, eh?
It is. And I mean, I've seen it, but I mean, is it still a big part of it, like using unconventional materials in their designs, like pallets and plastic bottles? I mean, how did you present those plants, for example, those saplings?
So it was a biodegradable bottle, and it was in a plastic biodegradable bottle. It absolutely was, yeah. So of course we will use anything at our disposal as long as it makes logical sense, of course. Absolutely. So we're not limited, and I've spoken a lot about the plastic and the aluminium, and those are two very contentious products. That's not our only product offering. I mean, we're painting panels. We using water-based paints. We're using chipboard, OSB, pine, solid woods. We're using everything. But the largest component of our product mix, of course, is the more sustainable, reusable products.
Now, you're doing all these fabulous things, all this amazing stuff. How have your clients reacted to this approach of your sustainable grading system? And what's their reaction been like?
So the strange thing is, the grading comes afterwards.
Yes.
So we at presentation of the concept, we'll say, by the way. So they don't realize at the time, and then we'll give them a certificate on the stand. So it's been a very much it's almost an afterthought for them, top of mind for us.
Yes.
But they've received it so well, and they've loved it. And it's incredible to see these clients having that graded certificate on their stand, and they actually leave it on their stand for the whole exhibition. They're so proud of it. They've achieved something they didn't think about. So it's really come across very well.
So you're highlighting it, you're giving them the certificate, but above and beyond that, you're telling them how exactly, absolutely, right, they've saved, and how they've, absolutely, in terms of the choices that they've, yes, made. And in terms of, I know you're also an integral part of the industry, but how can we motivate and incentivize and collaborate with the industry to share this knowledge?
So Projeni, and again, we don't want to own what we've come up with. We want to share every single thing. So we invite everybody to come and look. And, I don't think many ideas are original. Hardly any are. We sort of copy pieces, yes, from everybody, and absolutely, we put it together. So these are our sort of accumulation of ideas. So I'm inviting everybody to come and look. Come see what we do. And if you want to use a piece of it, please do.
There we go. So whoever's listening, they need to know how to contact Pat. It's Pat at ExpoGuys, as always. And you always, willing to chat and willing to discuss and see how you could help other companies to implement the same or similar system. So again, we can all put it front and center where it should be. Now, when we're talking about sustainability going forward, what's the next box, sure, that you want to tick?
That's a good question.
I know you've done so much already, but I'm sure
it's a yes and a no. That have we done so much? I think we've just made it sort of like we've made it a focus.
Yeah.
So what's in it for next year? To be honest, I don't know. But there's going to be something that I can promise you. And our team that sits around the table is going to come up with something.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be because we're going to ask them to. It's because they're going to just naturally come up with something better. And then we'll figure it out, we'll formalize it, and we'll share it. And that's how we're going to continue always from year to year.
That is truly remarkable. I think it's wonderful what you're doing. It's a great start. It's more than just a start. Like you're saying, it's all about the small things that each of us do that make a significant impact long term, right? And I really think you guys have done remarkable work. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Great that you're recognizing it. Thank you.
No, it's an absolute honor, and we hope that the industry, collaborates with you. We hope that we can inspire collective action, I think, from our exhibition industry community. And it all has to start somewhere, and we all have that chance, and you've just done that.
Projeni, I think that's the key word. I think you've got to almost draw that line in the sand, and every single person, no matter where they are on that spectrum of of sustainability, draw that line in the sand and measure where you're at the following year. And as long as you're sort of doing better,
yes,
okay, you're moving forward, aren't you?
Yeah.
And that's what you got to do. Simple as that.
Well, Patrick, thank you so much for joining us today.
Pleasure.
We appreciate everything, and a big congratulations to you and your team on all your efforts. And that brings us to the end of another enlightening episode of Africa Event Connect. A huge thank you to Patrick Cronning from ExpoGuys for sharing his expertise and giving us an inside look at how they are leading the charge in sustainability within the exhibition industry. The Sustainable Stand Grading System is truly an inspiring initiative, and it's clear that ExpoGuys is setting a benchmark for the rest of us to follow. If today's discussion has sparked ideas or motivated you to rethink your approach to sustainability, we encourage you to reach out to ExpoGuys or explore how you can incorporate greener practices in your work. Remember, every small step counts in building a better future. Thank you for joining us today, and as always, don't forget to subscribe to Africa Event Connect for more conversations with industry leaders who are shaping the future of events and exhibitions. Until next time, I'm Projeni Pather. Keep connecting, keep innovating, and let's create a sustainable future together. See you soon.